If you manage to beat Super Mario Tennis' third challenge, more commonly known as level 1-3, then Baby Mario should be yours. But Super Mario Tennis isn't over yet, as there's still one challenge left, level 1-4. And that pesky time limit is as annoying as ever thanks to the level's confusing layout that can result in an endless loop. Which is why we're going to show you the best way through it in this video. But before we dive into the walkthrough for level 1-4, let's cover a few ground rules. Tip number 1, earn additional time by hitting everything. Okay, maybe not everything, but most things you can interact with will net you precious time on the clock. But not everything's created equal. Individually, power-ups such as a mushroom and fire flower award the most time, followed by defeating enemies with coins taking a distant last place. But because coins can be found all over the place, they're more than worth your while. Though if it comes down to, say, a coin or a Goomba, always go for the Goomba. Tip number 2, look to the sky for secrets. Even though there appears to be a lot of empty space, it's worth exploring as you just might discover invisible blocks. And where there's smoke, there's fire, as invisible blocks usually come in clusters. Now, although most of these blocks only contain coins, they'll occasionally conceal something as valuable as a 1-up. And speaking of valuables, that takes us to tip 3, go for the power-ups. Yeah, we probably don't need to tell you this, but grabbing the power-ups will make your life much easier. Mushrooms will supersize your ball, which not only makes it easier to hit targets, but also allows you to destroy bricks, which will net you extra time. Fire flowers causes your tennis ball to spit out a pair of fireballs every time it connects with a screen, which can both take out distant enemies and collect coins for you with almost no effort. And finally, stars are money-making machines, turning almost every spot your ball hits into a coin, which is a great way to stall the timer. Now you're going to need precision to pull off our tips so far, and that's where tip number 4 comes in, learn proper ball control. Because your targets come at a variety of heights, you need to learn which shots to use for different altitudes. And even though you have a bunch of shot types available, you really only need to use 3 of them to reach any part of the screen: slice, topspin, and lob. Let's stop the video for a second to show you what I mean. Picture the screen as if it were split into 3 sections: low, medium, and high. The 3 shot types I mentioned before each correspond to a colored section. You should use slice shots for anything near the ground, whereas topspin shots should be used for most other things. But if you want to reach anything higher, near the top of the screen, you're going to have to use lobs. Now another thing to keep in mind is that each shot's height is dictated by how long you charge it for. This is especially important for the lobs, which vary greatly based on your charge. So if you want to target something super high, make sure to back up to give yourself more time to charge your shot. And that wraps it up for our general tips. Now for tip 5, follow our walkthrough. And that starts right now for level 1-4. So one thing you'll want to do throughout the level is kill the enemies before they kill themselves by running off a ledge. You'll also want to seek out the invisible blocks scattered all over the castle, often forming rows that span an entire room. As you can see here, there's a long row of them just above the first 2 lava pits, followed by another row adjacent to the question block near the ceiling. Now, do you see the lava pit right after the question block? There's an invisible block on the right side of it that you might want to activate, as it'll prevent the nearby enemies from committing suicide, which will give you more time to take them out. Now just ahead is the first of 2 warp pipes. This one leads to a treasure room, but it'll also force you to play through this entire castle section again. Despite this, it is generally best to make at least 1 trip through there to add more time to your counter, if things go well. Now that giant wall of bricks conceals some coin blocks, and the fastest way to get at them is to knock both the Koopa and Buzzy Beetle into motion. And if all goes well, they'll take out the Goombas for you too. Now we recommend grabbing the power-up and the question block last, as you don't want to accidentally hit the pipe and make a premature exit. When you do exit the room, it'll unfortunately drop you off just after the second warp pipe that leads outside the castle, which means you need to replay that entire section of the level to get back to it. But again, it is generally worth at least 1 visit to make sure you have enough time on the clock. But if you're confident in your skills and just want to finish a level, you can skip the first pipe and head right to the second, which is the lowest pipe is East 3, which shows up not too long after the first warp pipe. But before you take it, make sure to grab the power-up from the center question block. The pipe will lead you to the true underground portion of this level. If you don't already have a power-up, you can grab one from the first question block in this trio. Though you may want to plug the gaps on either side using the invisible blocks there to make sure you get your power-up. And you'll want it too, since it'll allow you to bust a hole in the ceiling, causing the high enemies to drop down where you can more easily reach them. Once at the end, don't waste too much time before taking the warp pipe. At the surface, you want to move quickly to grab both the power-up in the bottom right question block and the star from the top left one. Now because the star is on a suicidal trajectory, you may want to plug the gap by revealing the invisible blocks there, which should make it easier to grab the star. When you reach the pair of stacked question blocks, there's an invisible block just left of the top one that will yield a 1-up. Though again, you may want to plug the gap below by activating the hidden blocks to make sure the 1-up doesn't fall to its death. Immediately after, you'll find a beanstalk hidden in the middle of the top row of bricks. Now if you don't take it, you're going to loop through the section again, just like in the castle. And there's really no reason to do this unless you're going for a high coin count and score. Though if you are, it is a very lucrative option, especially since you can grab the star again and again and again. Anyways, after taking the beanstalk, make sure to collect the coins and reveal the hidden blocks below that even spell a secret message: Night Sky. Once you take the warp pipe at the end, you'll be in the final stretch, Bowser's Castle. Make sure to look for invisible blocks in the gaps here, as there's quite a few of them. And of course, make sure to grab the power-up from the lone question block coming up. Once you reach Bowser, it's a simple matter of hitting the axe on the right side of the bridge to seal his fate. Alright, and that wraps up our tips for Super Mario Tennis level 1-4. So in summary, hit everything to earn time, look for secrets, go for the power-ups, use proper ball control, and most importantly, follow our walkthrough. With these tips, level 1-4 should be a cakewalk. Thanks for watching, and be sure to visit GameXplain.com for more Mario Tennis Open tips.